Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcome to my heavyweight conversation for this Sunday, March 29th, 2020. And we're here this morning to talk a little bit about the heavyweights in boxing. Okay? Now, this is not about, a former era or anything like that. This is about present era. Because even though the sport has been on pause or hold due to the pandemic crisis, we have to look at where we are in the sport and what's on the horizon if the sport is able to resume, which we do hope and pray that it is. And see what's exactly what. So I thought I would kind of kick off a conversation on this because as so go the heavyweights, boxing usually follows. You know what I mean? So that's what this conversation is about. And thought I'd just come on out here and talk to you guys about it a little bit this morning. And I can interact with you, the chat. Because if any of you are following the sport and the divisions, the top, this is something that we can have a conversation about. So I welcome you, and I hope you all are doing well. So we are here. We are live. We have a few brothers in the chat there. We got Shadow 979. He says, salute Stormy B-Man. BBG is out there. Salute Stormy B-Man. GG says salute. BBG is out there. He's saluting Shadow 9. And everybody else is saluting each other. Shadow 9 says Anthony Yard lost his dad to the coronavirus today. This thing ain't no joke. Oh no, it never has been a joke. Only the leader of this nation treated it as a joke, which his followers and the people within the nation who have ridiculed him, but they still put him in office, right? They seem to follow that lead. And now you have people, leaving here when they could have been prepared, when people didn't, disband the unit of scientists and doctors that we had in place before he got in office, okay? And they were taking care of business. And he did away with that. So you have to point to the top, huh? Because crap only runs from the top down. Crap don't run up, huh? And I ain't out here to talk about him or that, because you need to focus up and know who is leading or misleading this nation. That's all I'm going to say about that this morning. Don't even want to get into it. Focus Ball is out there. He says, salute, Stormy. Just blew through. Smash that like button as you blow through, bro. Appreciate you. Now, back to my heavyweight conversation. Currently, we have witnessed over the last, year and a half, or just last half a year, the heavyweight division has had some shakeups, huh? Beginning last June with Anthony Joshua dropping his titles to Andy Ruiz Jr., but being able to regain them by the end of the year in December in his rematch. Due to Ruiz coming out and not being in the best of shape, looking to cement some type of legacy of being a new unified champion. He seemed as much content with his financial standing and everything, and he has been ridiculed, and maybe we may see a resurgence and rededication in his career, or maybe he may have just been one of those one-hit wonders that we have seen in the past, along the lines of guys like Buster Douglas and Hasim Rahman and those of that sort. So we will see. The book is yet to be closed on Andy Ruiz. There will be opportunities, hopefully, for him for redemption, but we don't know. But right now, Anthony Joshua has those belts again. And as he's a unified champion, he's enjoying, I think, the luxury of ownership of like 4 belts. You know, the WBO, IBF, WBA, and I think there's another belt, a WBU or something like that. There's too many of those damn trinkets, you know. And then this February, we saw the longest reigning champ, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. He lost his fight in the rematch with Tyson Fury. So his WBC title is now around the waist of Tyson Fury. And in the division of heavyweights, one punch can, you know, separate a guy from his title and his legacy. So the funny thing about it is that we watch these fights and we have the guys that we support, we have the guys that we love, and you know that means nothing at the end of the day, because it's just like looking at something on paper. I think this guy can beat this guy. I know that this is like this and whatever, so it don't need to happen. BS, okay? Because once they get in the ring, that's when it happens. That's when it goes down. And we've seen more than on one occasion, okay, that people get in the ring and they think things are going to go one way and they go another. Look at Mr. Kaunaki when he went in there with Helenius, huh? Did many of you think that you were going to see that outcome? Huh? I'd like you to put that in the chat. Let me know, did you think that you were going to see that outcome? And some people were priming Kaunaki up to be another guy to fight one of the champs. Whether it be Joshua, whether it was Deontay, or even Tyson Fury, because Fury is now that champion for the WBC. You guys were looking at, oh yeah, Kaunaki, he's going to get up in there, but, you know, the champ is going to do XYZ to him. No. Helenius did XYZ to him. That's right. That's what happens. Heavyweight boxing, you get, you know, it's like a box of assorted chocolates. So who we got? We got a couple more people jumped in here. Laws D, Punch Out TV. He says, salute Stormybman OG. Salute to you, Laws. And who else we got? Trap House Boxing is out there. He says, what's up, Sensei? What's up, chat? What's up with you, Trap House? You up early this morning, man. Good to see you, bro. Laws D says, IBO. Yeah, that's that other belt. I was trying to think of it. You know, they make so many of them, Laws. I don't know, man. I have a hard time. I try not to focus on it. You know, I really don't. I'd rather focus on the fighter. I know he has belts. But when you start going through the alphabet, man, you know, that's why the first guy to unify and put all these belts together under him, and there's one guy who has them all, he should take them all and throw them in the trash. And then start fighting quality opposition after quality opposition. One fight a year. Hey, you take me, I'm the man. I'm the lineal champ. That's how they could do away with all this stuff. And the other guys, they could say, oh, I'll take the belt. But they don't get those shots against that lineal guy. You know, you have to diminish and devalue those trinkets. Because they don't mean anything. And those sanctioning bodies are telling you all the time they don't mean anything, because they could take them away from you when they get ready, hand them to someone else when they get ready, develop a new one to undermine you whenever they get ready. So that's why you shouldn't, That's why. So yeah, you know, Gil Coles is out there. He says, salute Stormy B-Man and the rest of my fellow Thurman fans. All right. And Lars D says, yeah, it's like the WWE. You ain't never lied. Trap House says he busy grilling. What you grilling, Trap? What you grilling, man? Huh? Come out here talking about you grilling. I want some. Huh? Focus Ball says facts. And Focus Ball said, I made a video about that a long time ago. Listen, Focus Ball, we all been making videos about this. And it ain't changed, which is why we're trying to let these fighters know how significant what we're talking about happens to be a huge role in what they're doing and the path that they find themselves on. I look at how they took that title away from Devin Haney, man. He's not a heavyweight, but at the same time, it's the actions that they did. They took that title away from him and made it available for some other guys. When they originally had it in Lomachenko, okay, and they had said that Lomachenko, someone had to fight for the right to face him, right? Devin Haney stepped up and did that. And Lomachenko asked them, hey, can you do something for me? Can you let me hold something? Huh? And they said, yeah, come on over here. And we leave that belt there and leave those guys to fight for it. And Devin Haney was like, wait a minute, I would fall for the right. I want that guy right there. Y'all say he this, that, and the other. You know, he all that. I want him. I want a piece of him. Right? And they said, oh, well, you know, we'll award you the belt. And you got to fight this guy, you know, as your first title defense. Getting a sanctioning fee. A guy who was kind of rugged. And the thing is, that guy should have been fighting Lomachenko too. But they easily moved him out of the way, you see. So the threat wasn't there for him. And Haney still beat the guy, but he hurt his shoulder. And so when he realized he had to have surgery, he's like, well, I'm going to get myself straight. You know, and I'll have my little rehab period and I'm going to come back. As soon as he go do that, we're going to take the belt from you and we'll call you champion in Emeritus or whatever. You whatever they called it. Stupid stuff. They just, you know, you're lying in wait. But we'll have these other guys fight for your title. And when you come back from your rehab, you can fight for your belt again. What do you mean fight for your belt? He never lost it. You guys took it away from him. Get the hell out of here. So, mind you, the heavyweights, because they aren't as active as some of the other divisions, especially Mr. Joshua over there. What is he fighting, like once every 15 months now or something? Freaking ridiculous. The only reason he fought Andy Ruiz 6 months later was because he was trying to get the belts back. But Anthony Joshua has got to be the most inactive champion around. Him and Gary Russell Jr. But at least Gary Russell Jr. is good. Huh? And that's not to say that Anthony Joshua isn't good. What it's saying is he's inactive, like a son of a gun, and he hasn't grown since he acquired the belts. And I say acquired, okay? Because he didn't beat a champion for those belts. He acquired them through various operations. But yet and still he has them in his possession. But when is he going to defend them? Kubrat Pulev is not the answer. But he could be simply because of how iffy Joshua is. So here we have the state of the heavyweight division this day. Huh? On the horizon, we have fights like coming up. Joshua supposed to be taking on Pulev. You know, whenever boxing can resume and they can get those dates set up in the future. Kubrat Pulev is about as active as a snail crawling on the shore himself. He had a chance to fight for the belts back in 2016, I believe it was. He walked away from that. He'd rather kiss reporters, you know, and stuff like that after he fights setup fights on network television. That's what he likes to do. But being another of the caveman existence, you know, he gets these opportunities because he's a plug-in. You can take a fighter like him and plug him in, right? When these other fighters who are trying to milk it, a.k.a. Joshua, and he becomes an opponent for him. But not due to what he's accomplished in the sport. Okay? Now you have some young upstarts out there. We got another fight on the horizon. It's actually Joe Joyce and Danny Dubois. One of those two are going to be an immediate contender for one of those belts that Joshua has. And guess what's going to happen? The belt's going to change hands, whether Joshua wants it or not. You know why? Because of that inactivity that he's had and how he's been on the side. What he's done is allow these guys a chance to develop not only their skills, but they've developed their confidence. They developed a fan base. They've developed some type of marketing coming toward those titles, where now people have their names on their lips. Well, I think that when Joshua won the belts, he was what, 24 or something like that? Joshua's like 30 years old now. What has he done since he had those belts, people? Besides losing to Andy Ruiz Jr. The Michelin Man. Come on, man. When you think about it, it's like really questionable how these guys, they allow their primes to just pass them by. Just the prime just goes away. You know, time waits for no one, and time is undefeated. When you see fighters out there and they're not doing the things that they need to do, you could just wait. You could tell those guys that are just kind of sitting around, like Keith Thurman. Okay, again, not a heavyweight. But when Keith Thurman won his title, and then he became a unified champion, he had an excellent chance to be the next fighter, since Floyd Mayweather Jr. had retired recently. At that time, he had an opportunity to become the next fighter to become the face of his division. But because he became the negotiator, where he was negotiating reasons and excuses and supplemental for why he wasn't going to fight certain people and feigning injuries and things like this, next thing you know, and ironically, the WBC or the WBA, they didn't take his title away from him when he said he had injuries. He was able to lay up in the cut for over a year and a half. Wasting time. Now, how old is Keith Thurman now? Think about it. And look at these young lions that's on the horizon. Virgil Ortiz, Jaron Ennis, guys who are clean as clock now. If he had that trouble against that guy he came back against, and he was like, oh, and then he had trouble with Manny Pacquiao, and then he's like, oh, and what are these guys gonna do to him? You ever seen Feeding Time at the zoo when they throw that meat in there in the lion's den or the tigers or something? You see what they do to that meat? The meat is Keith Thurman in this equation. The lions and tigers are Virgil Ortiz and Jaron Ennis in this equation. And at the age of 30, you can't move as fast as you was moving when you was 25. So even though you think you look the same in the mirror lies to you. The mirror shows you the imperfections that you can't see with the naked eye. But guess what? You see, I got Sabretooth over here, right? That's what happened to Keith Thurman. All in his ass. Sabretooth. J.A. Dixon has joined us. Trick Nolte is out there. Nassim the Dream is out there. Who else we got? Look at the Trap House. He said you share your grilling when I share my chili. Not on your life, son. Not on your life. You stay on that grill, and I'll stay in my pot. How about that? Sucker trying to get my chili. You ain't. Lost D Punch Out says, facts, B-man. Thomas Moreland says, salute, family. Glad to see you brothers are out here this morning. Please hit that like button, man. Hit the like button for Stormybman, please. And what else we got? St. Cruising. He says Pulev knew he was out of shape. Man, none of these guys are in the proper shape, but we have to deal with what we have to deal with. These are the heavyweights of today. You know what I mean? And let's see, we got Gil Cole says, Stormybman, you're right. St. Cruising says, because Thurman and crew making millions per fight, they lose their hunger. Mr. Tiptoe is out there, says, salute family, salute to you. And, you know, everybody else is saluting each other. But the heavyweights with these fights on the horizon, as I mentioned, Joshua and Pulev, okay, Joshua could lose that fight simply because he has now shown some vulnerabilities that are that can be exploited. Okay, they can readily be exploited. He is not the most confident guy to begin with. This was before the loss, but fighters couldn't see it. I could see it. It was a certain temperament that he would show, certain questions that he would hypothetically throw out when he's being interviewed and stuff like that, that were very revealing. I don't know that enough people were able to pick up on that, but you saw it in the way that he fought the rematch with Andy Ruiz Jr. Matter of fact, he was so intimidated going into that rematch, and I wouldn't even equate it with being focused. But if Andy Ruiz came out like a bulldozer for the first 3 rounds, he might have got him out of there, even though he was out of shape and everything, because Joshua was afraid. He was like a dead man walking to the gallows, you know. But hey, but Kubrat Pulev could get lucky. He could land something on his chin, boom, and next thing you know, you're seeing the heavyweight champions heavyweight titles change hands again. With a record of 28-1, Pulev is supposedly bringing in. That's not speaking a lot. I mean, he lost to Vladimir Klitschko, but really, who has he beaten? You know, a series of setups and you know, bowling pins to bowl over, but you can't celebrate that. But as I mentioned, that Joyce Dubois fight, 2 young fighters. Well, Dubois is young in age and in career status. Joyce is young in career status, but not necessarily in age. I think Joyce may be closer to the age of Deontay Wilder, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have box stats in front of me. I just have, you know, my notes with me at the moment. But as I look at that, but that doesn't mean that Joyce can be ruled out, because even if he isn't successful against Dubois, he could still be in a position to make some hay in the division, because these guys are not seasoned. And he did medal in the Olympics. I think he had a silver medal. So if you think about it, he brings something to the table. I bet they're not trying to put Alexander Usyk in there with Joe Joyce. I bet you they're not. Huh? That would be a good fight, because you have 2 guys who are supposedly, you know, the goods, but somebody is going to show you who they really are. Huh? Dubois just looks like the future. He does. The future right now. And if he gets that opportunity, we could probably expect him to be there for a minute, because as he has success, the confidence will grow. And my goodness, I've said this about him already. All he needs to do is tighten that defense up a little bit. If someone could get him in there to get him how to move that head in a more Western style, where he's moving his head and getting his head offline and everything, you're looking at the very next champ right there. But Joyce has something to say about that. You know, will he take that away from? Will he take that away from Dubois? We'll see. We can't wait to see it. You know. Now, then you have another fight on the horizon where you've got your boy that I just mentioned, Alexander Usyk, against Derek Chisora. Chisora, it depends on who comes on that night, him or his alter ego. His alter ego is a guy who just comes in as an opponent and will allow for the, fight to just turn into something for whomever his opponent is that night. But if Chisora comes, he's going to provide a truth serum for where Usyk is in the heavyweight division. Now, we know what he accomplished at light cruiserweight, forgive me. And as we see that, it is not so convincing for the big boys. You know what I mean? So, unless they've asked Chisora to just be a dancing partner. That does happen in boxing. Some guys are just happy to get a check and to show up and say they were at the party. Huh? Don't forget that. It exists in boxing, people. It does. What else we got out here? St. Cruisin says, AJ has a really weak mind and a weaker chin. Tricknody says, when my 10-year-old daughter said Anthony Joshua was handsome, I almost called CPS to come pick her ass up. Hey, listen, at least she likes guys. You understand? So, hey, be happy, man. Don't, girls are going to like what they like, man. She might like muscular men. Trick, and if Pops ain't got them muscles like that guy, don't get mad at that. Huh? At least she likes dudes. It could be worse. You could see Ellen DeGeneres come on TV and she'd be like, oh, she's... Yep. So St. Cruisin says, Joyce position going to be horizontal against Dubois. Hey, man, Joyce can take a punch. I don't think you get him down with just one or two. But I want to see it. I want to see that fight. Gil Cole says, I want to see more from Jermaine Franklin. I haven't seen anything of Jermaine Franklin. Is that someone I need to be taking a look at, Gil Coles? And Tricknody says, I believe Anthony Joshua has the weakest chin of any heavyweight champion I have seen in the last 20 years. He took Tommy Morrison's place. Lars D says, Usyk is going to sleep. And Tricknody says, laugh out loud, Stormybman. Right, I agree. Yeah, hey, there you go. So, hey, man. But, hey, I'm trying to see if I missed, because you guys are talking amongst each other a lot. But you know what? Listen, for those heavyweights and their fights that are on the horizon, Chisora can actually provide a true serum test for Usyk. He could actually, draw the, see where he is as far as his heart. He could see where he is as far as his chin, because Chisora has a real heavyweight punch, and maybe his endurance. But if Chisora's endurance isn't up, then this is a moot point. And that's why I don't really like that fight, because Chisora has 9 losses in 32 wins, but he doesn't have a big win. He's lost to the guys that were supposed to beat him, as far as if they had something and they were moving up or whatever. That's what I don't like in that fight. So he has a venerable puncher's chance, but I favor Usyk in that fight. That's why they made that fight for Usyk. They didn't take that fight for Usyk to get his ass whooped. But there are some people out there to whoop Usyk's ass, like Danny Dubois and Joe Joyce. They're there. So, That's what I would like to see there. Now, as far as the WBC having the title having changed hands with Tyson Fury now being the WBC champ, he has a rematch that has the clause has been exercised from the option rather has been picked up by Deontay Wilder to have the third fight. Now, in the event of that fight, whatever the outcome may be, that champion is on the outside looking in with whatever's going on with Joshua and the titles he holds. Because if Wilder is victorious, Fury's camp can ask for another rematch, I guess. But if Fury is victorious, Joshua's people are going to try to really make that fight happen with he and Fury. For whatever reason, they don't want to make the fight with Wilder. So that would still keep the division stagnant and the activity on the low. It's a shame because if they had just fought 4 years ago, one of them would be the champ right now. And then they would be in a bird's eye position of picking off the fighters that they would like to fight going forward. That's what they didn't understand at the time, the two of them. So, Gil Cole says Franklin was on a couple of PBC cards. Remember when he had a tough fight with Rydell Booker, I put Franklin somewhere near a job. Yeah. St. Cruzan says if you move with Chisora, you beat him. Dubois leaves Usyk unconscious. Absolutely. Maybe in 5 rounds, St. Cruzan. That's what I think. In about 5 rounds, Dubois will finish Usyk. They're going to keep those two away from each other as long as they can. They're going to angle. I'm telling you this right now. You heard it from Stormybman. They're going to angle one of those titles to be taken away from Anthony Joshua. And Alexander Usyk is going to end up with one of those titles. And he's going to fight more misfits, never-words, and has-beens than you've ever seen in your life. And they're going to talk about how great he is. They're going to talk about how skillful he is. And they're going to totally dismiss Evander Holyfield and everyone else that came before him from light heavy and cruiser to heavyweight. Michael Spinks, Michael Moore, he's going to be better than all of them in their eyes. They already got it set up for him like that. And that's a shame because he hasn't even earned his way through the ranks. When Evander Holyfield moved up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, he fought heavyweight contenders. Guys who were up in the top 10, top 5. You know what I'm saying? He fought James Quick Tillis. He fought Addison Rodriguez. He fought Michael Dokes. You understand? He fought Alex Stewart. On his way up to the title. He earned his stripes. Who has Usyk fought? Witherspoon? When's the last time Witherspoon fought since then? When was the last time Witherspoon have fought since before then? I'll wait. I will wait. So Usyk is now fighting Chisora. Ooh, that's supposed to be it's a tough fight for him, right? Not if David Chisora has come to, lay down. Derek Chisora, I'm saying. Trick Nody says, Chisora reminds me of a Jesse Ferguson. He can upset Usyk. He can, but he's not there to upset him. He hasn't been brought in for that. He's been brought in to make Usyk look good. See, that's the thing, guys. You have to understand the boxing business, okay? They have fighters out there that can look steady, okay? And they can look like, good trial horses. If you could get past him, you know, it gives you merit. Now understand, Derek Chisora is just in that seat right now. He got knocked out by Dillian White. I think very little of Dillian White, bro. He's a kickboxer that has come into boxing. He struggled with AJ before getting knocked out. But Dillian White is not that good, as many of you have professed out there. And he's getting ready to fight Alexander Povetkin. And Povetkin is 40 years old, but he keep talking about that, you know, Luis Ortiz is too old to fight. They're the same age, but they're not the same skill set. Luis Ortiz can box and he can punch and he's a strong fighter and he's a southpaw. He's dangerous. Povetkin is a one-dimensional fighter. He's a wind-up doll. He wings with the left, he rings with the right. And he leaps in all the time. And a lot of time fighters who leap, they go to sleep. You understand? Because you could catch them coming in. A one-dimensional dude who's a career PED user, and he's 40 plus years old. He's ready to go. Look at what Mr. Hunter, did to him when they fought. He jumped on him early and had Povetkin like, oh shit, what's happening with this young dude here? But Hunter just wasn't strong enough or whatever. But Dillian White is a bigger and stronger man. So what do you expect supposed to happen? Dillian White should smash him. But Dillian White is still not that good. He's a physically imposing guy at 6'4" and 270 pounds. Yeah. Listen, boxing is a sport where what you see isn't always what you're really seeing. It's something behind the scenes. I believe Chisora is brought in there to make Usyk look real good. Don't be surprised if at some point during the fight, it shouldn't happen in the first round, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But at some point during that fight, Usyk hits Chisora with something and he just goes out like, oh, like, and you'd be like, damn, he clocked him, dude. Ooh. And you know what? That was all by design. Because he's not there. Do you think that Derek Chisora, if he defeats, let's just put this hypothetically out there. If Derek Chisora defeats Usyk, is he getting a title shot against Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder? Is he getting a title shot against Anthony Joshua or whoever gets one of those sanctioning belts away from Joshua? Fuck no. Chisora is just a still a gatekeeping dude. And that's what you got to understand. But if Usyk wins the fight, what happens is they got a new guy they can market. And he got bleached skin, you know? Yeah, got one of them funny names you can barely spell. Yeah. That's what they want. And they're going to push it on you whether you want it or not. They're going to shove it in your mouth just like a rapist. St. Cruzan says, Usyk and Holyfield shouldn't be mentioned in the same sentence. Not ever. Not ever. Gigi says, don't forget, Parker's still waiting for that WBO to become vacant. You're right about that. He's standing around like a scavenger, just wanting something to eat. You know, it's like scared to go in there and put in some work and earn his keep. But he gonna, you know, be like one of them raccoons. They come and snatch something and run away. That's Mr. Parker, who should have become Spider-Man after the spider bite, but that's another story. Anyway, Gigi says, it would be good to see the new class of heavyweight division dispose of the top 15 survivalists. There are some great future matchups for them as they develop their careers. I 100% agree with that, bro. 100% agree with that. You know, Lost D says, real talk, Stormy B, man. Yeah, St. Cruzan says, facts. Laws D says Hunter nearly KO Povetkin in the first round. Right? That's what I'm talking about, Laws D. That's exactly what I'm saying. You know, it's like, what is, if that was Dubois, he would. Laws D says no. And Mr. Tiptoe says facts. And I agree. I want to take a moment and say thanks to for the PayPal donation by Gil Coles. Thank you, Gil Coles. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Mr. Tiptoe says, I have to get ready to go to work. You're on my speaker, Mr. Stormy B Man. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Mr. Tiptoe. Appreciate that, bro. Just, you know, I thought I'd come out and talk about these guys because they are the here and now, right? And we need to start seeing the shuffle. We need to start seeing these guys fight each other. But if they do, the cloudiness is going to blow away very quickly. You know, it's going to blow away very quickly. These guys are not there for the duration. They are there for occupation. You know? Gigi says, wouldn't be surprised if they recycle Pulev as a potential opponent for Usyk. Hey, there you go. If he goes the distance with Joshua or gets stopped on a cut or something like that, boom, he's right back in the deal. If he gets knocked out, that's kind of tough. That puts him on ice for a minute. You know what I mean? But a lopsided decision loss or a cut, getting stopped on a cut or some kind of foul, he could be recycled easily. See, I'm glad you said that, Gigi, because that means you're understanding the scope of what I'm talking about in the sport of boxing. They do these kind of things on purpose, and they can keep guys like, you know, we got Trap House Boxing out there. He say he grilling, right? Well, when you take certain things, you put it on the side of the grill away from the heat. That's then you take that piece of meat and set it over there because it's just about done, but you want something else to get that good heat. So you set that to the side. That's what they doing with these guys. And they put them to the side. They ain't totally done and gone into cold freeze, but they kind of on simmer, on warm. You know what I mean? And then they bring them back in. That's what they do. And you wonder, like, oh, there's other fighters that may not have certain promotional backing, that don't have certain favor, you know, in management, and they never make it up there. They keep them on the outside. They be posting them out like in the basketball game when you used to see guys in the paint posting up and defending and jockeying for position. They don't play basketball like that no more. That's why I don't even watch it no more. Everybody's standing outside around the three-point arc trying to shoot the ball, and if a long rebound bounce, then they run down to the other end and pull up on the fast break with a three instead of taking it to the basket. That ain't basketball, huh? That's a free shot, set shot. That's what I call that bull crap. Anyway, yeah. Laz D says, GG, that's a good point. That's what I was saying. That's an excellent thing, observation where you know what you're looking at. And that's growth. Gil Cole says 100. There you go. See? Now, I'm glad that I'm getting you guys on board with this conversation and having that insight and that observation where you can see exactly what I'm talking about. See? You got three fighters in those three fights that I mentioned, okay, that are the same. Pulev, Chisora, and Povetkin. The recycled of boxing, heavyweight boxing. Depending on how they lose, they can keep those guys in the loop so those champions will have somebody. They'll have a body to defend against. To take, okay, we're going to have another fight, title defense, sanction in body, That's what they do. Keep these guys. Hey, roll Chisora out here. We got him next month. He's going to take on Dubois. What? And you be wondering, like, what the hell's going on, man? Boxing is corrupt. Nassim the Dream says, it seems like every other fight, all you're hearing is Derek Chisora or Pulev when AJ and Dillian White going to step it up and start fighting these real heavyweights. That's what I'm saying, Nassim the Dream. See, that's it right there. And that's why, I said, heavyweight conversation. If we start talking about this stuff and you could really exploit it for what you're looking at, I mean, come on. Andy Ruiz had defeated Joshua last year, right? His name should be in there. His name should be in the mix. Not just because, he was out of shape and, you figured he could come in and somebody could whoop him, but because he is a former champion now. And he was always a decent contender. He fought life and death with Joseph Parker. A lot of people felt that he beat Joseph Parker. Okay? And I think that fight was in Parker's hometown, which is why he might have got the decision. But at the same time, he deserves that consideration to have his name thrown in the loop. And mentioning Joseph Parker, by the way, he's another fighter that's out here doing the same thing. He's on the take. He was on the take with AJ. They made sure he didn't beat AJ. They made sure he couldn't fight the kind of fight he wanted to fight against AJ. And he ransomed his title to AJ. He would have been better off fighting Deontay Wilder because he would have gotten paid for one, straight up, much more than he would have got paid for fighting AJ. Then the contingent upon how he would have lost to Wilder, if he would have lost to Wilder, but because the fight didn't take place, we don't know. We really don't know. Wilder has suffered a defeat now, so we have to take that invincibility aura away and look at it more realistically and say, hey, maybe he could have had a chance to survive some rounds if he would have got a lucky shot in. We don't know, but he would have been in a better position had he fought Wilder and lost that fight, got paid well, and had respect by his name. Because he was stepped up against a hard-punching champion who was on the rise. He went over there and ransomed his belt to AJ and now has fallen back and become and also a guy who is on the heap. That guy you take off the heat of the fire and put him over there to warm, and they'll bring him out from time to time. The fight against Dillian White, what was that? Losing to White, and he lost. I think he lost also to Andy Ruiz. So it's like, who the hell is Joseph Parker now? And he's sitting over there on the take. He's another potential opponent for Usyk if Usyk does to Chisora what I think. You know what I mean? And he's going to be cannon fodder for either Danny Dubois or Joe Joyce, which one of them become victorious. So you're looking at the landscape in a more realistic view. You can see like there are guys who are mixing it up, and then there are guys who are not in the mix, but they're ready to be added in. You understand? Sprinkle a little Parker, sprinkle a little Povetkin, sprinkle a little Chisora. Fucking recycle guys, man. Lost D Punch Out TV says, Nassim the Dream, Dillian White don't want any smoke. He's just all bark and no bite. Absolutely. And Nassim the Dream says, Lost D, that's facts, family. Lost Punch Out TV says, yeah, it was, B-Man. It was in New Zealand. Yeah, I thought so. And J.A. Dixon says, are they going to give Big Baby another shot? Seems like he's the only guy to pop dirty that the media tried to throw away. No, see, I'm going to tell you something. Big Baby broke some rules. Okay? He ran his mouth and he did some things openly that he wasn't supposed to do. And he burned bridges. So he's in that dark place. If they do put him in and decide to bring him in for something, they're going to bring him in to get hurt real bad. He don't realize what he did in the game. he drew too much attention to the PED thing. They had a good thing going, okay? But he broke some rules. And now he paying for it. You know, just like in the entertainment industry where you got Monique, and Monique has been, excuse me, Monique has been put in a position where she's kind of like blackballed. They've done that to Big Baby Miller. Remember, Big Baby Miller, before the AJ promotion, his name was being bantied about in scenarios, a lot like Dillian White and Derek Chisora, because they're both the same type, okay? But he broke some rules. And now that he's done that, they're making him pay for it. But when they do put him in there, he's going to be sacrificed to somebody to whoop his behind. It may be Dubois. If Dubois is victorious beyond Joe Joyce, they may take Big Baby and say, hey, we want you to fight Danny Dubois. And watch what happens. Gigi says Parker knew they were going to sacrifice him to build Usyk in a non-title fight, so he pulled out. Parker will only come out for a title shot or a top 50 opponent. Spidey is cashing out. That's all, folks. Hey, man, there you go. You may be on to something as well there. Eric Jenkins is out there. He says, salute Stormy B-Man. And Laws D Punch Out TV says, but B-Man, Dillian White nearly got knocked out of Parker. Another 20 seconds in round 12, Dillian White would have been out. He was hanging in there for dear life. Hey, that's Joseph Parker's fault. He had 12 rounds to work with. Why are you going to try to go for it in the 12th when you could have go for it from round 1? Huh? See, I don't respect that. Good for Joseph Parker. Good. Because Dillian White is not that good. I mean, he's out there cheating against what's his name, the guy with the his gloves, suspicious gloves, and the failed B sample and all of that. So to hell with Dillian White, and they keep recycling him. Look at who he's fighting. He's fought worse and worse opposition, and his shape is worse and worse each fight. I expect him to be 325 when he come out for his next fight, especially with this layoff when they have put the sport on a hiatus. So look at it for what it is. Naseem the Dream says, Lost D, White and AJ are doing nothing for the sport, just making a lot of noise and then fight a soft touch. Playtime is over with these two, family. Gig is up. There you go. There you go. And Lost D says, Fat Dusty Miller deserves everything. They got nothing but a fat, dusty PED chest. And he says, Nassim the Dream, I totally agree, bro. AJ and Dillian White are frauds. A lot of them are frauds, man. A lot of the names that you've run off, they're frauds. And so this is what we have here. You know what I mean? These are the type of fights that are driving the sport, but it's not quality. It's not quality. These guys are not what you want, but this is what they're giving you. This is why we were trying to say when Deontay Wilder had the WBC title, you get behind a fighter like he who wants to defend, who considers the legacy of the sport, who considers the fans' interests and things like that. We're not saying it because he's the best technical fighter and this and that. He was the best representative of the sport. That's why you throw your support behind someone like that. He was real. He's true. That doesn't mean he isn't anymore. He's just suffered a loss now. But he had so much to bring. The people should get and rally around that because he wants to make the best. There are people out there who just don't want to support him because we do. That's freaking ridiculous. He serves a greater interest than any of these other fighters do that we've named in this show. Deontay Wilder. He serves a greater interest because he didn't even come through the sport like a lot of these guys did. A lot of these guys had stellar amateur careers and had started when they were kids. He started as a young man. Huh? And he held it as true as he could. And now some of you are celebrating the fact that he lost. But when he lost, Boxing lost. Really? That's real talk, man. Listen, we can always have a conversation on these heavyweights. There's more to be said, and I can't say it all in one show. But I'm glad that you brothers have come out here to listen to what I've had to say about this for today. And maybe some of you can pick up that baton and carry it further and say some more in your own shows and on other chats and things like that. But I just wanted to shine some light on a few things. You know what I mean? And I appreciate everybody that came out here this morning to listen to Stormybman. But this is all I got for you at this time. I appreciate you all, man. Have a great Sunday. Be good with your family. Stay safe. Keep everybody close. Peace.